Welcome to the Friends in Business podcast with your hosts, Ben Wright and Jemimah Ashleigh. Ben, known as the sales strategist, and Jemimah, our resident visibility expert, are here to share their wealth of knowledge and experience with a little fun along the way. Whether you're a leader, entrepreneur, or aspiring business owner, this is the podcast where we share everything we know about business to help you succeed. Let's get started. Welcome to the Friends in Business podcast.
I'd like to say welcome back to Friends in Business, but as we started this episode, Jemimah has just sledged me and she's completely put it off. So Jemimah, if this is not my best podcast, it's 100% on you. You've impacted my mental health has just taken an absolute dive after the rubbish you put me through. But hey, welcome back to Friends in Business.
Thanks. Stoked to be here. Love aggravating you. It's my favourite thing. You know that?
Yeah. You and my daughter are very, very good at it.
She's my best friend. She's been holding my hand a lot since I got here. That's new. So,
I haven't noticed.
I will definitely draw your attention to it. She's like, we should go, and just grabs my hand and we walk wherever we're going.
Well, at least you took the time to do that. You like people to have a little bit of caution, and your kids have a bit of caution before they go hold any stranger's hand. But
who's always at her house and shares a wall with her.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So how are you today?
Great. Can I just say, house looking amazing. Wandered past a sauna earlier. Pretty sure I saw a gym. You're doing a lot around the house.
We have done a lot, and I think it's going to actually tie in really well to what we're going to talk about today, which is around mental health.
Yeah.
If we, for a lack of a better term. But for me, when we moved up here, I'm very aware of the key levers around my mental health. I've hit rock bottom. I think I haven't on this podcast, but I've told the story about how close I got to the edge, and that is, I'd picked the spot where my time was going to end, and that was a horrible moment in my life. And certainly the period leading up to it was really horrible, but even afterwards I really struggled. But for me, I'm really clear now on what drives my positive outlook in life. So we had a real plan when we moved in here, and for me, there's a mixture of convenience and health here, right? Having a pool that we could see at any point in time, right? We can't at the moment go and buy those $15, $20 million houses that overlook out on the ocean, right? One day we'll get there. We say that. Yeah, but we have a beautiful house here on half an acre, and we have a huge pool, and for me that was really deliberate in terms of setting up. But with that, I wanted to have the sauna treatment, something I really like, but a sauna that's not just plonked in the corner of a room, right? This is a sauna that we've built outside in the garden, surrounded by palm trees with stones around it. We're building a garden to suit, and it's actually become part of the habitat here. And that for me, with the pool, which we have the heater so we can use it all year round, right? And being in the big outdoor space, right?
Yeah.
That keeps me active and does all the stuff I want to do that has the positive impact on my outlook. But then we've paired that with, I built a gym in the garage here, and also have bought the bikes we need and all the equipment that I want to be fit and healthy is here, so that I can have both major and minor health activities, right? So the majors, when I want to go for a run or a ride or a swim, I can head out to where I need to. But when I've got short periods of time, having that gym here that we set up, it's compact, it's ready to go, right? It's about 4 meters by 6 meters or 3 meters by 6 meters. It's everything I want to do done.
Yeah.
20 minutes, bang, done, right? And then I can go off and do something else. So, we've managed to build out here that if life's busy, I can do everything I want to do here, right? Or by putting a pair of runners on and don't need to leave. But at the same time, I can go out and experience the world if you want to. So, super fortunate, right, to be able to do it. Outdoor showers next, and ice bath I'm not convinced on yet, but that may come. But
that's just cold. I don't understand that one, actually.
Yeah, one of our neighbours, he's got an ice bath, so he can venture up there.
Just pop over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I said, for me, I'm really pleased with what we've been able to set up.
It's looking amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's obviously so well thought out in the processes that you were like, I need to build these things in for our home.
Yeah, and as we're going to talk about now, right? It's making sure that I'm in a positive headspace for as much of the time or as much of the day as I can, and same for my wife and my daughter, right? It's a big part of what we're doing. So, and it's been something I've had challenges with over the journey, so I'm very aware.
Yeah, amazing. This was actually exactly what you're talking about, and that structure is exactly why I ended up moving into the building I moved in late last year. I know I've sort of talked about the building before, about having an art gallery, and it's got a library and things, and it's got a full art studio. But the one thing that I loved about this building, it had a complete gym, like almost the size of the room we're in now, which is enormous, a huge gym, but it also had yoga classes and Pilates machines and a indoor pool and an outdoor pool, and it just made it easier. And again, what I loved is what you said about, like, I can do the long version or the short version. Sometimes you only get half an hour. You can use that half an hour for good and for your mental health, what that looks like. Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about today, really focusing on the mental health aspect here, because I know physical stuff is really, really important, I think, for both of us, but I know you're a huge advocate for this. I wanted to talk about a little bit about last year, because we were meant to record in sort of November last year, December last year. So I was meant to fly up in sort of the end of last year, and I was sort of reflecting, and one of the things we do with our podcast is we go through stories of mutual times that we've spent together. And I remember thinking we had to have a really hard discussion on about the 12th of December of, actually, this might not be a good time to come and visit. This might not be the time to record. And both of us were, and I think the words I used at the time were, fighting for our lives. We were just trying to get through the year, both having a little bit of burnout.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I was fighting for my life, but I was bloody busy.
I was absolutely fighting for my life. So maybe that's just my words for me. But I was just trying to get through to that last week of work. Yeah. Very busy, very tired, and my batteries were running a bit low. Yeah. And so I really want to talk about that battery management today. And then around also, like, how we disconnect. Because I think one of the key things that we get as business owners, this is stressful. Yeah. Regardless of what people say. And I was in law enforcement. Like, I've seen some stuff, and I still think this might be worse some days. Yeah. Not every day, but it's more consistent of the pressure is on. Yeah. You're the one paying the bills. You're the one that's having to pay your staff. You're the one who is making the response. It's not an easy career. The bottom line, it comes down to you. How do you maintain a level of sanity to get through the day when it's really bad? But also importantly, like, I just think this got highlighted for me at the end of last year of, okay, how do you keep those batteries charged? And how do you disconnect?
So for me, if we leave our response or our approach to looking after our mental health to be tactical, right, then it's going to have tactical impacts, and generally tactical impacts are shorter term. So for me, where I start and where I start with everyone I work with is to know what works for you. And what I mean by that is there's some key areas in life where we need to get the balance right for us to be happy at a mental health level. Number one, and this is in no particular order, number one is around sleep. So know your levers around sleep, right? Are you someone that needs 6 hours? Do you need 8 hours? Do you need it to be pitch dark? Do you need it to be cool, right? Are you someone that sleeps better when you're with your partner, when you're on your own, right? Do you sleep better when you turn off your phones before you go to bed, or are you someone that helps you relax, right? Know your levers around sleep. Know your levers around food.
The sleep, can we just talk about the sleep thing for a second? Yeah. Because I think this is so underrated as being the number one thing. When I'm really stressed, the first thing that goes is sleep, quickly followed by food. I think the sleep thing particularly is quite interesting, because I think the sleep really does affect your food eventually. Because you're tired, you want more carbohydrates, you need the sugar hit to keep you going.
Well, you want, you don't need.
Apologies. Yep.
You want the sugar hit.
To keep that energy up. What I find really interesting about the sleep is, and I love that you said, do you need 7, do you need 8, do you need 10, do you need, like, what do you need specific? Because this, like, prescribed approach of, you can actually everyone has 8. Maybe you need more, maybe you need less.
Yeah. Know your levers.
Yeah.
And know how you get your best sleep.
Best sleep, yeah.
Right. I know for me that if I go to bed having had alcohol, right, some people it impacts more than others. For me, I wake up terribly the next day. So I always try and stop alcohol. Well, ideally it's 3 hours before bed, but that's difficult, right? Particularly when I'm out having fun. But I try and have a break between my last drink in bed, and that tends to help me. So know your levers around sleep. Number 2 is around food. Right? Know what works for you for food. I know consistency in time of day that I eat and what I eat for breakfast is a big key to me. I don't, get involved with intermittent fasting too much, but I do like to have breaks. I like to have kind of that 12 hours, right, between dinner and breakfast. I know the types of food that I work well with, the types that I don't, within reason, right? And by having a pretty consistent diet, it helps me feel balanced, I'm more measured in my responses, and generally just a happier person, right? So second piece is around knowing your levers around food. Third piece is around health and fitness.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. For me, the excuse that says I don't have time for health and fitness is I very much see as an excuse. Right. I've had businesses where we were 80 hours a week, had a young kid, had some real challenges in life, but I still managed to carve out time to exercise. And I think for me, my messaging here is to actually make sure you're forming the habits of exercise and looking after yourself by putting them into your diary. Right, you actually build your days, and if that means you've got to get up early to do it, great, get up early and spend half an hour less watching TV. If that means that you're going to do shorter sessions more regularly, fantastic, do the shorter sessions, but know your levers that keeps you happy around a health and fitness level, and also the times of day where you like to exercise, and that can be a real driver of balance in your mental health.
I had to learn really quickly. I used to be a fierce morning person to go for a run. And then right now, because of the types of activities at work that I'm getting stuck at doing a lot more events, a lot more speaking engagements, a lot more dinners, a lot more functions, the 5 a.m. wasn't working anymore.
Right.
It just was actually becoming extremely problematic because my sleep lever was gone.
Yeah.
And I was then trying to play catch up on the weekend, and it was just making me feel worse. So I was like, what about a new plan? What if we move the time of day? So it just became after work, 7:30, bang, we go.
Yeah.
Like, there was no excuses. This is what's happening. Because I've always been the fierce morning person, same as you. Get it done, then I've got no excuses later. Forget, you just don't think about it.
Yeah.
This is what we do, and I've had to change that so I didn't mess with other levers.
Yeah, excellent. Great. Really like that. Well, I've got two more around.
Yeah, great. Keep going.
So second last one for me is around knowing your triggers, right? And for this one here is I talk about they could be physical, they could be emotional, but try and learn the things that set you off, right? So for me, the external triggers that set me off are when people don't keep their word. I get really upset.
Yeah.
I don't like when people exclude you from things, right? These are drivers that just cause me stress, whether they're right or wrong.
So it's just having an understanding of what's really kind of that seeded trigger for you.
Yeah, so as it comes in, you can recognise it. And then the physical triggers normally follow, right? So for me, I'll click my jaw, or I'll clench my teeth, or I'll start to blink a bit more, right? Everyone's going to pick that up now whenever they see me. But those are the pieces where I start to have some of those triggers. Now the blinking actually is quite a good one for me as well. It means I'm really focusing, but I start to know when I'm getting some outside stimulus that are triggering me, or some internal stimulus. And people can say, is that a bit woo-woo, right, or a bit kind of a bit grey? But for me,
not at all.
When you know those triggers, you can start to do something about it.
And you start to manage them.
That's
also, because sometimes you can't prevent being triggered, someone being rude to you, someone excluding you, someone being difficult, someone saying something inappropriate to you. You don't get to control that. What you can control, the only thing you control is your reaction.
How you respond.
And it can just be, I need to calm down, I need to have a minute, and I need to take a second away from this situation and just being like, this is actually working out.
Yeah, look, no doubt. And that leads to the fifth one is the biggest, I've got sleep, I've got diet, I've got exercise, right? I've got a few things there that I know that can help me generally balance it at a habitual level, right? But know what you do to get yourself out of that funk, right?
My gosh.
Is it having fun?
Yeah.
Is it going for an extra bit of exercise? Is it going out for a good meal? I generally don't recommend it being alcohol. I think that's a slippery slope. In fact, when I'm stressed, I try not to drink, even though I know it relaxes me. But know what you do to get yourself out of it. I know for me that the best way to get me when I'm really stressed, the best thing I can do is put my head down for a couple of days, get through to the weekend, knock off early on a Friday, and then have a weekend full of fun. That absolutely clears it out. The other things I know is that I write lists.
Yeah.
Right? And, that's a non-fun piece, but when I can do that, bang. Right, and the other piece is go and have a sauna. That's why I got a sauna here.
there is real power. The list thing's quite interesting, and I'm sure there's a study out there about entrepreneurs and lists and how the dopamine we get once we tick things off that. There's got to be something out there. But one of the things that I find really interesting about this idea that you kind of raised earlier, which I also think really applies here, of just that half an hour, you'd be surprised what you can get done in half an hour. If you sat down, yesterday I was waiting, I had to wait for you always, oh my gosh, but I was left with about an hour where I got I was unattended. I had lunch with a girlfriend. You were running a little bit late, and you said, "Oh, I'm so sorry I'm running late." I was like, "I've got an hour. Are you joking? This is the greatest moment of my day. I'm not going to have to work tonight because I'm going to knock it all over now." Pay my bills, do what I need to do, check the email. Like, I got things done in that time. And I think entrepreneurs, and business owners, we have to be really good at really using that time effectively when needed.
Yeah. And so if that's one of the ways that you know how you can power through times of stress is to clear out your calendar and just focus on what's important. Fantastic. But tell me about your stuff.
Great. So I want to touch base about sort of 3 things that I find really, really powerful. Number 1, for me, I agree with everything you said. I think sleep, diet, exercise, movement, knowing your triggers, very important. The ones that I have added in addition to this, morning routine. So boring, so needed. Like, for me, my routine now and the things that I do every morning are sacred. If I get that interrupted, I can actually really struggle with that. And sometimes that can be, depending what I need, meditation in the morning. Sitting with that this morning, I had the opportunity to be in Noosa, and this morning I spent like 20 minutes just meditating because we're filming today. We've got some stuff going on. I have 150 emails. I'm about to go to another awards night. It's a lot going on. Like, it's just, all right, let's get ready to be fully present for the day because that's where I need to be. Morning routine for me also looks like just making sure I have breakfast and coffee, like making sure I've had a liter of water, making sure that, while I'm awake, like, these are the specific things. If they're not done, they have to be done. Sort of touched on this, but I cannot stress enough about meditation. I think while you think you were talking about woo-woo stuff, just wait. I didn't put a lot of stock in meditation for a long time. I didn't, just taking that mindfulness moment, I was a bit, oh, well, that's a bit woo-woo. Maybe it's not really my thing. Actually love it. Think it's incredible. Try meditating at night. Do have a bit of a problem because I just start falling asleep almost immediately. Having a minute and go to sleep. And then my final one, this is probably the one that I think I've definitely had the most trouble with, and I think you've gotten a lot better at this in the last 6 months, is disconnection. So I know that if I send you an email on Friday, there is on no planet am I getting a response before Monday.
More often than not, you're 100% right.
Yeah. Why you've deleted? Did you take the emails off your phone? Was that right?
I don't have emails on my phone.
Yeah. I think you inspired me to remove that app. Like, it was just, I have to dig through folders now to find it. I sometimes use it, but it's a lot harder now.
Yeah. Not all
and so the power of disconnection. We are now in a world where 24 hours a day, people expect to be able to get a hold of you. That if I call you, you will call me back within 1 to 2 hours. That's sort of an expectation that we have. I didn't answer the phone call yesterday and I got 2 voicemails. Is everything all right? Yes, I'm just having dinner with my friend. I can't do this right now. Thanks. And I think having that moment where you can disconnect, turn your phone off, have one day where you're not immediately available, we're not having that stimulus all the time. I did read a really interesting statistic the other day, and it kind of blew me away. I think you're going to love it. How much extra information do you think we get from our mobile phones a day? Is it like a TV show worth? Is it like a CD worth? A movie worth?
I couldn't. I expect the number is huge.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It is 2 full-length movies.
Wow.
That's me.
That's how much we're on our mobiles, 5 hours or 4 hours a day.
The amount of data that we're getting thrown at us is the equivalent of 2 movies. So that's the equivalent of me forcing you to watch Independence Day 1 and Independence Day 2, or Speed 1 and Speed 2. Like, I'm forcing you every day to do that.
Love the Speed movies, didn't love the Independence Day ones, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of them you're willing to do, but
Yeah, and part of this comes down to what you offer through your service, right? If you're offering a service of always being contactable, then you need to be ready that customers are always going to contact you, right? Or you have alternatives if you're not the person that's going to be contacted, right? That they can then get in touch with as well, right? You need to set the whatever service or offering or product your business is putting out there, whether you be a small business or one of my largest customers is almost $5 billion in revenue, right? You've got to actually fulfill those commitments that you're making to your customers. So the key here is to set yourself up to be able to fulfill those, but then find those those times of right to disconnect. I'm pretty clear on it. I'm very clear with my customers when I will and won't be around, right? And most of them are very aware of it. So I'm very comfortable with it.
It's just setting those boundaries, right? And going, this is the best way to get a hold of me if you need something. I had a client for a little while who just tried to ring all the time and would just go, oh, I've got a quick question for you. And immediately if someone calls me, they're dying or something's really wrong. That's the only time someone would call me. I was like, is everything all right? She's like, yeah, I just need a quick question. And it was just about something very menial. And I had to say, actually, just so you know, thanks so much for the call. I really need you to email me. Phone calls I'm not reliable for. And put it back on me. I'm going to be unreliable, which was true. I'm always going to be unreliable. I don't even know where my phone is right now because we're here right now.
And look, and I don't disagree with that, but what I will say is that I talk a lot about being easy to work with. And if the customers that you serve see phone as the most important way to get in touch with you and that's really valuable for them, then we need to make sure in our service that we have times when we're available on the phone. Right? We set the boundaries. It says, hey, and this is where you talk through in the early days, whether it be product or service, right? That we're really clear around how we provide the value we provide.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work for our customers, then we either need to target different customers or change the way we do things. But certainly making sure that we're really clear on what the triggers are for us and what we need to be balanced, right? That's the most important message that I have for today is understanding you and everything you need across sleep, across diet, across exercise, across triggers, across how you have some fun, across how you disconnect, right? Getting all of that really clear and knowing what works for you. Once you get that right, things tend to flow from that.
Amazing. Love that.
Key message, key nugget from you today?
How important this is. That there is just one of the reasons that we are having this discussion is because I don't think the mental health part is really spoken about enough. I don't think we acknowledge that how bad it can get at times, but also how stressful it is. And just also showing that we have been there and going, we've had the days where how many times have you properly quit your business? Like you're like, I'm done. I'm actually out. Coles is not looking good. It's not looking bad, you know?
I'm not one of those guys.
Okay.
But what I will say is I've had some deeply disturbing and dark moments when I had the business and we were really under some pressure that I would never wish on anyone. And from that, I've learned my triggers. But, I definitely have days where I get to the end and go, oh, my God, it would be so much easier working with someone right now.
And I think this is the point. If it's happened to us, it's happening to other people. Yeah. You're not alone. We understand that. But also there is an onus of getting some responsibility and tackling that head on.
Yeah. And we're here. If you ever need to have a chat, please get in touch with us. We're your friends in business. That's the end of our podcast for this week. We'll see you again in 7 days' time.
See you then.
I've been tried and I've been tested.
Thank you for listening to the Friends in Business podcast. This episode was brought to you by your hosts, Ben Wright and Jemimah Ashleigh, recorded in beautiful Noosa, Queensland. For more insights and resources, visit Ben at strongersalesteams.com and Jemimah at jemimahashleigh.com. If today's podcast has helped you, we'd be so grateful if you could leave a review and share with someone you know. This will help more people in the world benefit from the hard work we're putting in to bring you the best content we possibly can.